Hey guys, back here again with, well, this is actually a new kind of project for me. I haven't done anything like this quite yet. And that is getting into ROM hacking, basically. I'm not an expert in it. I'm terrible, actually. But it's something that fascinates me. And I did some basic stuff, so I want to show you. So, this is, of course, the Sega Genesis Shadowrun game. And I have now changed it that you can play as a female character instead of as Joshua. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the samurai. And I'll skip the story. And we're just going to walk right back out. Alright, so there is my main character. Obviously I'm using the Ilene Two Fists sprite and her portrait. I did change the name from Joshua to Harper. The reason I chose the name Harper is I wanted to keep the same number of letters, because changing the text in the game, if I changed the length of the name, it's possible I'd cause some formatting issues. So I just changed it to have the same number of letters. I also did change the main character to an elf. I mean, Ilene Two Fists, I think, was a human, but you can't see her ears, so she can be an elf if you want her to be. And I did change the starting stats to more match an elf's starting stats. And otherwise, that's about it. Or this maybe goes a little bit farther than the basic, because you can save, state hack, and change the portrait and stuff. Where this maybe goes a little bit farther. Let's see if I can get up to... I'll sell my gun. So maybe where this hack goes a little bit farther is... let's go find somebody who actually says my name. I'm wondering if the doctor in Seattle just says our name or not. I'm not sure. Nope, walk away. Okay, let's see here. May I help you? Is this your holopegs? Yeah, so if you notice, when the doctor talks to me, she doesn't call me Joshua, she calls me Harper. So I did go through the entire game's text and basically did a find and replace function for Joshua to Harper. One of the things I tried to do before, I was like, oh, I want to play a female character, that's fun, I like safe state hacking. Well, during the game, you're still called Joshua no matter what you changed your character's name to. So anyway, in this version, you can actually play through the whole game, not have that illusion broken. Every character that calls you by your name calls you Harper. So that's kind of fun. Now, there is a limitation to this hack, and it's something I'm kind of struggling with, and that is if I were to save the game and then reload, I turn back into Joshua's portrait, but apparently I keep my own sprite. So I don't know. Actually, the fact that I retained my sprite is a new one on me, because I thought I would also revert my sprite too. So that's a limitation of what I've done so far, and I'm not sure. I'm having a hard time finding the routine. It seems to be that the load game routine searches for, are you a samurai? If you're a samurai, then you must have the Joshua portrait. And I can't find that in the code. I'm not very good at understanding what the code does. So the one workaround is, if you're playing on an emulator, is that you just have to use save state the whole game. You can't use the save game function So that's kind of it. I'm going to go ahead and reset and show you the other two choices real quick. All right, so back here, new game. Let's try out Decker. And I'm going to skip through the story. And I'm going to walk right back out. Now, I did end up using Ilene's sprite for Rianna because I've always liked this sprite better than the other one. And you can get this version of Rianna to be decently buff. So it kind of worked. But you can see, again, Harper, Elf Decker. Change the stats around a little bit to fit the fact that she's an elf. But otherwise, it's basically just Joshua Decker reskinned. And I should mention that changing the race actually changes the maximum stats. So if you were to go ahead and raise her stats, her quickness could get up to 7. And is it Charisma 7 for an elf? So you can do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and see what happens when I load game. Now that was interesting. Okay, so yeah, I became Joshua Decker Portrait, but I kept my sprite. The weird thing was, I don't know if you noticed that, but there's a brief moment where it showed Ilene's portrait for the portrait. So it tells me a little bit more about the routine, the load game routine and how it works. But I'm actually a very, very much an amateur hacker, coder, anything, so I kind of just stumbled my way through it. I'll go ahead and show you the shaman real quick, and then we'll talk about some other stuff. Alright, so back to the new game. I'm going to go ahead and choose Gator Shaman. I just noticed there's something else I'm gonna fix there. And we're gonna walk right back out. And you might have noticed that I am using Freya's sprite. And I did want to use Ilene's sprite, but I couldn't quite understand where the palette was coming from. So Joshua, Ilene, and Rianna all use the same color palette. Freya uses a different one. And so when I tried to switch her sprite to Ilene's sprite, her skin turned blue. And it was too distracting for me, so I switched her back to her own sprite. And I know you can get her to have the sprite with the right palette, but I couldn't figure out where that was indicated in the code. Because it might be that it's in the ROM, because I know in the save file, if you do a save state hack, you can do it. Almost seemed like in the ROM file, it applies the palette to both the portrait and the sprite. So I could later fix it, but I didn't want it to be that you had to use a save state hack to change it again. I wanted it to be like, this is the ROM, this is how the ROM works. Also, take a look at inventory. I ended up changing this since the totem is kind of vague anyway. I changed its name to Raven Totem, but I noticed that in the text in the opening screen, it still called her a Gator Shaman. So I'm going to go ahead and change that so she's called a Raven Shaman when you choose her. And then again, changed her stats a little bit to match her being an elf, but otherwise it's just Joshua Shaman. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and close the emulator and open up the hex editor program that I use and walk you through, my limited understanding of it. In case anybody's curious about how this kind of stuff works. If you are somebody who's already hacked around before, you're going to be really bored because you already know this stuff better than I do. If you've never heard of ROM hacking before, I don't know, maybe you'll learn a little bit. I find it fascinating. So the hex editor that I use is called HXD. I don't have any particular like explanation for why I use this one, other than it's the first hex editor that I tried and I could figure out how it worked. So that's kind of how I operate. The first time I get an app to work for me, that's the app I use. So I don't know if that's the best or the most user-friendly or anything. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is go through and edit the fact that I'm still called a Gator Shaman, and I don't want to be called a Gator Shaman. So we are going to, I think I'm going to actually do the replace function. And we're on a text string. And we're going to look for a Gator. Let's see, this replace operation changes the file size. Do you want to proceed? Nope, I kind of messed that up. All right, I want to find it first, actually. So let's find it. Okay, right there. So this must be where it is. By the way, if you're curious why I said Raven, again, I wanted to keep the exact number of letters. So I was going to say like crow or something, and I'm like, nope, I need 5 letters, Raven. So we are going to replace Gator with Raven. And there shouldn't be any other mentions of Gator in the whole text, so hopefully that's it. And then I'll just go ahead and save it. And now when I log in next time, it'll call the shaman, the Joshua shaman, a Raven shaman. And of course it won't be Joshua, it's going to be Harper. So that's one of the nice things about this hex editor program is whenever there is something that's recognizable as text, it appears over here. So I can see it says new game, load game, choose archetype, samurai, decker, raven, shaman, game 2, jack out and smell the soy calf charmer. There's no game saved here, successful download. So any of those text strings I can kind of replace. And again, I'm going to be careful to not change so much. I'm going to mess up the formatting and break the whole ROM. Always keep a backup of your original. And there's my cat. Good morning. Yeah, I don't like it when you interrupt, though. You can come say hi without interrupting. Yep. Hey, you can say hello. The camera's up there, though. See? So when you're doing any sort of ROM hacking or save state hacking or anything like that, first off, always make a backup file because you can easily corrupt the whole thing and break the whole system. You'll probably want to take good notes. I am notoriously bad at taking notes. And that can leave you with some problems. You can lose a lot of work. If, for example, you change the wrong bit, break the whole ROM, and you have to start over, and you didn't take notes about the things that were working. So anyway, do a backup, take good notes, and then what you're trying to do is figure out, okay, what do I want to change? And then what is the address of that thing? So kind of vaguely, these are the addresses over here. And then these are the bits within that kind of offset. I'm not really super familiar with the terminology. One other thing is I struggled a bit. I couldn't search for a string of values. And I don't know if it's just I don't understand how hex editors work, or if it's just a kind of a dumb thing to try to look for. But you can dump all this stuff into a text file and then search for like a string of values like that to find it, and that's actually how I ended up finding that's how I ended up finding out where the stats were for the different archetypes for Samurai, Decker, Shaman. Let's do this. I know I will recognize the data once I get there. So if I put in Harper, and this is the end of the story here. I can see that's where his Thon rally defeated. Not what I'm looking for, so I'm going to search again. Okay, and then here, I'm recognizing this. This is the data. So this is Samurai Harper. This is Decker Harper. And then this is Shaman Harper. And then it's kind of complicated from there. This code right here is what determines what portrait is being used for Samurai Harper. And then there's some other values that determine kind of like the zoom in kind of value of like what part of the portrait are we going to use for the mini portrait on the right side. And I thought it would be these ones because they match the numbers I see in the save state hacking guide I was looking at. But when I messed around with them, it just garbled the portraits. So I don't know how to change like the zoom in or it's hard to explain, but I don't know how to change that. But this is the portrait for Samurai Harper. So I just put in Ilene's values there. I'm going to have to put a link in the description for the, there's 2 save state hacking guides on GameFaqs, and they were primarily useful so I knew what the values of different things were. Like I would not have known that Ilene's portrait was stored as 269A. And then going down here, I'm not sure what this 1 here is, but these next, I'd say these next 6. I'm trying to remember what the Shadowrun stats are. This is like strength, quickness, body. No, maybe it's body first. Body, quickness, strength, charisma, intelligence, willpower. I don't know what the next 3. Yeah, I'd have to look at the stats, but that's what these are right here. These are their stats. So if I wanted to make Harper really strong, I could go through and make these all 6s, for example. Down here, I gotta remember what this one is. I'm pretty sure this value right here is what race the samurai character is. And this one's tricky because a 0-0 is human, so human is default. So you change it to 0-1, they become an elf. And then I believe that this is the archetype, which is samurai, so it's 0-2. And then the walk around sprite is up here, 0A, for whatever reason. So that's how I got the Ilene sprite for the samurai character. And then, of course, there's a lot of other values around. I don't know what all of them do. So I do think one of these, I think it's this one, is the palette that you're using. You switch this one to 40, it matches Freya Golden Ear's palette, but then the Ilene sprite gets blue skin. I thought maybe there was a separate one, but no, they seem to be, I think it's this one, and it changes both the portraits palette and the sprites palette. And it's probably because I think in most of the characters, their sprite matches their palette. And that's kind of an interesting one. So if you look at sprite doppelgangers like Rianna and Freya, this 20 gives you Rihanna's sprite. You put it at 40 and it's Freya's sprite. they're identical, except Freya has like a yellow trim, and I forget what color Rianna's trim is. So anyway, like I've kind of been saying, I'm not much of a hacker. I just know that I can come in here and kind of monkey around with the values and things. All right, and then very similar. This is Harper, Decker, and the places are the same. So there's the sprite again. There's the race. There's the archetype, and Decker must be 3, whereas Samurai was 2. And then here are her stats in here. And here, where'd they go? Oh, and this must be Rianna's portrait. And then down here, this is Shaman. There's the portrait. Her stats are down here. Elf. And then Shaman must be 01. So 01 is Shaman, 02 is Samurai, 03 is Decker. So yeah. And then you see the other Shadowrunner start appearing down here. So there's Ricky. We could change his starting stats, change his portrait, change whatever. There's Winston, we can change him. Trent, we can change him. Peter, Walking Bear, Phantom. Now here it says Two Fists. I'm a little bit curious if, I thought her name was Ilene, so I wonder if they, I'm just really curious about that. If I change Two Fists, would it become like, would the name stay like Ilene and then just like change like a different name to the second part of the name? I actually have no idea. But I thought what I might do, and I might really just mess this up. I thought what I would do here is change it. I don't want there to be doppelgangers of Harper. So what if I go ahead and take Two Fists, Freya, and Rianna, who I'm using for Harper, and I switch them to take Joshua's stuff. And then I don't want 3 Joshuas either, so I'll probably get a little bit creative with like the names and everything. I am noticing there seems to be space around the names. It looks like these 2 zeros are spaces. So it looks like I could definitely change their names, like the length of the names. I really did not want to do that with Joshua because of how often Joshua is used in the whole game. I wasn't sure if they would always have spaces around the names, you know? All right, and then I got Stark. Yeah, okay. I'm going to see if I can change Two Fists to be a samurai, and I got to come up with a samurai name. Actually, don't remember if I can just write over here or not. Let me see. Apparently I can. And then what? I just do spaces over it. So let's say I want to name, and that looks like it's going to be like a really off-center. Okay, that looks more centered. So I've changed the samurai's name to Razor. Let's see here. Freya is going to be the shaman. The kind of annoying thing is I know that some of the text dialogue is going to say golden hair, because that was kind of our thing. So I might want to rethink this a little bit, especially with the because yeah, and with Razor, I'm gonna have to go through and rename a lot of things. Let's see, Ilene. Yeah, I don't know. This might be messed up, but I'm just gonna do it anyway. In the story, I think I'm gonna go ahead and change Ilene to Razor, and then we'll see what happens. All right. Anyway, whatever I change Freya to, there's going to be someone named Golden Hair, which I might be able to change that too. We'll see. All right. So what's a good shaman name? See if this fits. I just went to a random. I went to, if you guys ever use fantasy name generators, there's all sorts of ones. There's a like a random Shadowrun name generator. And they came up with Nighthawk. So let's see if Nighthawk will fit. Nighthawk. Not only will it fit, looks like we got 3 spaces to spare at the end, so let's go ahead and fix that. Nighthawk. Okay. So I got Razor, Nighthawk. And then we need a name for Decker Joshua. I think we'll start there. Spectre. Looks like I've got extra space again. Spectre. Okay, that looks good. Alright, so we've changed their names to Razor, Nighthawk, and Spectre. Now, they still look like the original gals. So let's, I'm going to have to look at my notes on what the different values are. And again, you can find these on GameFaqs. I will go ahead and put some links to give the credit to the original people here. Yeah, and it is the one by Crowley, which was in 2001, so I don't know where this person is these days, but thank you for doing your work on the file. Okay, so I'm looking here, Razor. It's going to be the samurai, and the picture for that one is right here, 20FA. 20F, oops. That's with a control, not a shift. I don't think I need shift anyway. Okay, 20FA, so the picture should now be Samurai Joshua's picture. And trying to think of what else we need. That's a sprite, and Joshua's sprite is 3. So 0, 3. And then Ilene already lines up with what we need, which is human samurai. And we can leave all the other stats alone. So then we just have a samurai that joins us when we break him out of prison. All right. Nighthawk is supposed to be Freya. So here is the portrait. 219A is what the shaman Joshua is. 219A. Okay. Pretty sure this is the Freya palette. So we want the Joshua palette. And then the sprite. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, right there, it's the 6. So we're going to switch that to the Joshua sprite. Okay, so we changed the portrait, palette, sprite. And then down here, now I'm puzzled. Oh, Shaman was 0-1, wasn't it? That's right, so Freya's a hermetic mage, so she's not a 0-1, she's a 0-0. This 0-1 here is elf, so we're going to switch this to 0-0. Okay, so this is not a, even though we're using Joshua Shaman, this is going to become Joshua Hermetic Mage, but that's fine. And then we can leave the other stats alone for the most part. Yeah, and none of them are above human maximum, so that's not going to cause any problems. Remember, elves can get quickness 7 and charisma 7, I think, so we don't want Joshua as a human to get above that, because humans can only go up to 6. Okay, so that should take care of that. And then we have Rianna's going to turn into Spectre. This is the portrait, 223A. This is the sprite, so 03. And Rianna already uses the same palette as Joshua, so we're good there. And so we'll just pop on down to, she's a decker, which is what we want, but we want a human. All right, and then there's the problem because it looks like Rianna's quickness starts at 7, so we're gonna lower it down to 6. And then I'm pretty sure this is her body, so we'll give it a 2 to make up for the fact we stole one of her quickness. Okay. So just reiterate, portrait, sprite. Rianna has the same palette as Joshua. Change the name. Changed body to 2 and quickness to 6. And switched from an elf to a human. Okay. Now all the changes I've made are in red. I'm going to go ahead and click save, and now they're no longer red. These are permanently written to the ROM file. I'm going to go ahead and run it as it is. I know there's going to be problems with like the text, like what the characters say, because it's not going to match, but I'm just curious if the characters, like if the portraits are working properly, if the stats are working properly. So I'm going to go ahead and try loading up the game, and we'll see. Okay, we're going to try to use the cheat code, give us a quick start. It's supposed to be abacab, ABBACAB. Let's see if it worked. Nope. Oh wait, hold on. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's where it is. Okay. Sorry, I was being dumb. So at the title screen, you put in abacab, which I think, isn't that the same code for Mortal Kombat? Anyway, now you see there's an empty spot down here. You click on there, it says use at your own risk. We're going to do the Nguyen cheat. So now we have 250,000 Nguyen. And we're going to go see if we can find the other Joshuas. So I'll pick up Michael's stuff. We might not be able to get to Freya without another cheat. And unfortunately, because I can't do a load game, I can't do more than one cheat, actually. So, but let's go see. Oh, yeah, well, we can only check on Rianna anyway, because I don't know if we can get into Penumbra, and Ilene is in the storyline, so we'll just see if the Rianna got changed or not, I guess. This one, at least, you can buy your way in. Oh, interesting. So we already have the wrong sprite here. But then here's Joshua. Long-term pal for hire. And then he turned into Joshua. That's pretty funny. So there's some pretty weird little glitches there. But here we have Spectre, Human Decker. Otherwise, he's got all the stuff that Rianna starts with. And then, like I said, I don't think we can get to... Oh, someone take a big picture. What are you doing? Pretty sure we can't get into Penumbra with our karma as low as it is. Let's take a look. All right, like to go in. Yep. I don't have enough reputation to get in. That's okay though, because I know how to hack my save state too. So let's go ahead and hack that save state and then I'll be able to get in. All right, so if I did this correctly, I just hacked Harper's reputation to 6. Unless I might have just missed and hit the negotiation, so let's take a look. Do a quick load. And what do we got? Yeah, I missed. I hit the negotiation. Okay, well, that's fine. We'll try again. 06. Can't see what I'm doing because I'm in another window. Save. Quick load. Alright, now her reputation is 6. So I should be able to get in the Club Penumbra and see what Mage Joshua looks like. I like to go in. And again, we're looking at the original Freya sprite. So I'd have to figure out... That's really interesting. I'd have to figure out what... Oh man, that is so fascinating to me. I'll have to find out where the Club Penumbra data is and change that. And then this time I was kind of... Last time I was kind of excited to... and look at the story. I was so excited just to see if I can get Joshua, but look. An elf is in the corner dressed in a bright blue gown. She addresses you as Unir. What do you need? So you would actually have to go through and change... like here it says I'm Freya. So I need to go through and these are questions answered. Yes, there's not actually that much text. I just need to change his description. Alright, and of course I have 2 clones following me around, which I hate sprite clones. I wouldn't actually keep these 2 guys, but... Alright, so if we take a look here... This is just obviously Freya. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. It says Nighthawk, Human Mage, magics, all the stuff that Freya starts with. Alright, I am curious, what would happen if I were to save the game and reload? Not that I can't do it anyway because it's going to mess up Harper, but I'm curious. Okay, so they get to stay who they are. So I just need to figure out... Basically, I need to figure out... because my name still stays Harper, and I stay an elf. So I just need to figure out where in the load game routine does it switch your portrait back to the wrong portrait. And then it would actually be, this would be a complete ROM hack, not, I really hate to release a ROM hack where it's like, just kind of half-arsed, you know? So anyway, what do I need to do? I need to figure out, wow. That was a powerful mage. Okay, well I'm not keeping this anyway, but so I need to figure out where I can change their sprites when you find them. I need to change their text, and then if I could actually change it that when you load the game you keep the right portrait, then this would be a pretty cool little hack in my opinion. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to show you the things that you can do if you get into ROM hacking a little bit. And it's not that hard. You just have to find the addresses and figure out what the values do, and that's it. part of why I wanted to do this was I want to show you how easy it is to change the text in a game like this. Unfortunately, I was looking at the Super Nintendo ROM for Shadowrun, and there's something that's always bothered me. And that is that you fight these enemies called troll deckers in Shadowrun for the Super Nintendo. And it drives me crazy because, yes, you can be a troll decker in Shadowrun. It is not very common because trolls have lower quickness and lower intelligence than the other races. That's why the elf deckers are usually the ones on hottest demand. They got advantages towards it. So yes, you can be a troll decker. There's nothing against that. But they would be rare because they're not particularly naturally good at it. A troll decker would be an interesting character because they've had to learn to overcome their shortcomings. But there is an enemy type that spawns frequently towards the end of the game called Troll Decker. And it's like, why is there like 100 Troll Deckers in this universe? I would like to just go in and change the text so it says Troll Gunner. And again, keep the same number of letters, it's Troll Gunner, because they've got this giant cannon. Problem is, at least the Shadowrun game on the Super Nintendo, I don't know if other Super Nintendo games did this, has some sort of code-based compression. And so I'll have to actually crack the code if I'm going to change the text. Whereas in this Genesis Shadowrun game, the text is easily visible in the hex values. And so you can just change the text to whatever you want. It's very easy. Anyway, I've done more than enough explaining. Hopefully you found this kind of interesting. Maybe some of you guys will get interested in hacking some ROMs or some save states on your own. I mean, really guys, give it a go. Make a backup file, take notes, and have some fun with it. And you know, it's almost like having a Game Genie code, but you being able to do whatever you want with it, like changing text and changing all sorts of values. So anyway, that's going to be it for this one. See you guys next time.